Whoa! Hello, everybody. It's kind of dark in here. Hold up a minute. Hold up a minute. Oh, let there be light. I got this new fancy toy. This is a bit bright. I got this phone app thing where I can, okay. It's kind of romance right there. Perfect. What is up, everybody? I was kind of doing my Life's a Video Game. What's up, everybody? I'm Fritzy. I am Fritzy, and this is me talking to myself. What is me talking to myself? Well, me talking to myself is, just me writing in a journal, except I speak it. Blah, 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 all grammar mistakes and everything. Anyway, I just felt like doing another video because today is a day and I have the energy, and why not? It's Friday night, and, I got myself another beer. This guy, Grolsch. Let's open it up, shall we? See what it's like. Oh, that could have been messy. That tastes delicious. I already had one beer. See, the thing is, I tend to get a little bit nervous with these, which is weird because, the camera is not that judgy, but I get a little bit antsy. Not that I do that with every video, and I don't think I should rely on having a drink as a crutch, but sometimes it's a nice thing to kind of chill the nerves. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, this is video number 10. That's kind of a milestone. It's a big deal. That's the most I'm going to say on it. But I guess the cool part about today's video is that I got new lights. As I kind of pointed earlier, I can now change the color tone. Ooh, that's one day when I'm really mad and want to rant, I guess I'll do it this color. Anyway, we'll kind of stick with this. I had my brother come over the other day and he was just like, I have a thing. And he just switched out my light bulbs and started making colors with my light bulbs on my phone. And here we are. So, my last video, I was talking about I had a pretty intense week and it continued. Here I am on Friday and I'm finally at the end of the week. I was a grumpy boy today at work. I was a grumpy boy all day, every day this week. And I don't really want to talk about my work too much in that respect, but it got me thinking. I have a tendency to be quite agreeable. If you don't know what that means, you're the kind of person, or I am the kind of person that is just easygoing for the most part. You know, I do like my own things and I will choose to do my own things. But when I'm in a group, I don't need to make something about me. If you're like, this is what I'd like, I'm like, sure, let's do that. And I've learned to do that if I'm working for, say, a tough boss and you say, I need the blah, 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 blah. Instead of, even if I think what you're asking is dumb, I'm like, yeah, sure. For several reasons. One of the reasons is, why create conflict when it's unnecessary? And the second thing is to pick my battles, because eventually I do want to say no on something that really matters. You know, I do see people who fight back on everything and they don't seem to get that far. So there are some benefits to being an agreeable person. However, I think sometimes I can be too agreeable. And I'm not just talking about work. I'm just, like in life, I can be too agreeable with people. I think the disadvantage is it leads to feeling like you're getting taken advantage of. How do I mean by that? Well, oftentimes people who are fairly agreeable, not everyone, but you're constantly being a bit of a yes man. And it's not that you're necessarily choosing things you don't want to do. That's not really the case. You're just, you're constantly going with the flow. You're not trying to cause friction. You don't like causing friction. And I think where that comes from is less about you're scared of upsetting others, but you don't like it when people cause friction to you, so you don't want to cause friction to others. That's the way I approach it. That's the way I look at it. But then I don't set up any boundaries. And that's the problem. Is I set up, as I've gotten older, I've learned to set up more boundaries, but I have a long way to go. And so with no boundaries, well, people are crossing lines, and you can put up with shit for a while, but after a certain point, you're like, you're done. You just get fed up, right? So then you put up a boundary, but people are already used to crossing that boundary. They're used to crossing that line. And you put up a boundary, and they're like, what is wrong with you? Why are you this way? And you can't really blame those people necessarily. A lot of it is on me. So what does this have to do with me thinking about work? Well, when I work, I put my heart and soul into it, no matter what I do. I don't care what I do, but I want to give my best effort. But sometimes I feel like I speak up too late. I have had moments where I speak up too early, but that's typically more the rare case. And I just think it's time to start working on that. Part of this whole series of me talking to myself is trying to have some sort of self-realization, some understanding of myself, realizing certain flaws that I have, not dwelling. I think, dwelling and thinking that you're a loser is useless, not useful to anybody, very much yourself. But I think it's important to reflect back on who you are. You hear that cliche thing, like, you gotta look at the person in the mirror. That person in the mirror is the problem. And it's true, it really is. I'd say 99% of your problems, unless you're a very specific, special circumstance, and there are those people. There are, don't get me wrong. But I think the mass majority of us, for the mass majority of time, the issue is us. It really is. I actually, even if it is an outside source, still, don't get me wrong, there are certain things that are way beyond, and I'm not talking about those. But sometimes, you just have typical outside sources that are troublesome. And I love to use the weather as a great example. So I live here in Calgary, Canada, and Canada in sort of the Midwest can get pretty cold. And I've lived here all my life. I've moved to other places, but I was born and raised and spent the majority of my life here. And so you'd think I would be used to cold weather. Snow, ice. I hate it. I hate every second of the cold weather. And, for a long time, I just complained about the cold weather. I would freeze. So cold. Yet I wouldn't do anything about it. I would have my jacket open, walking around, the wind blowing it open like an idiot, not wearing any mittens or hood, just being pissed off that I'm cold. Fuck you, weather. And it's like, well, the weather's gonna be the weather at the end of the day. But I could have worn a warmer jacket. And of course there are those circumstances where you can't afford a warmer jacket. And I feel like in that circumstance, if you don't have anything, that sucks. And you have the right to complain. Absolutely 100%. But I think the vast majority of us have that winter jacket, have that sweater, have those extra pieces of clothing. Oh, there's a big party going on outside. That's, as a side note, that's one of the special things about this channel, about my channel, is I don't actually have a studio. I do this in my apartment downtown Calgary, and it's a Friday night, so a lot of people are screaming. Anyway, hope I don't lose my train of thought there. Just let me have a swig. Grolsch is delicious, by the way. Haven't had it in a while. Anyway, so I need to approach life like dealing with the weather. This last winter, it was okay. I still don't like the cold, but I actually wore warm clothes like a smart young man. And it was fine. It was tolerable. And there are certain things in my life, like me being too agreeable and getting taken advantage of. That's kind of my DNA. One positive thing that people will say about if they hang out with me is just like, it's easy to get along with me. I'm not going to push back. So there are those positives, and sometimes your greatest strength is your greatest weakness, or vice versa. If you think there's a huge weakness about you, you probably will find a big strength there too. Most likely. But it's like, I need to do something about it. I need to put on a warmer jacket. So I'm not sure how, but I guess a good starting point is realizing, I need to start coming up with strategies. So I think that's all I'm going to talk about for this video. Yeah. Well, thanks for joining me. This was video number 10. I might actually just record another video. I feel like I'm kind of on a roll. Peace. Have a great one. Oh.